All right. All right. Good morning again, everyone. I am Nicole Walker, the Executive Director of 3G, and we are first and foremost super excited to have you guys joining us today for our annual Mental Health Awareness Workshop. I think this is our third or fourth one. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's kind of a highlight of our year, and it's on our calendar. Mental health is so important, and especially as women, I think it's something we don't give enough attention to. So we look forward to these every single year. We've had some amazing Black women facilitators every year that kind of encourage us, inspire us, educate us, and just help us improve our mental health. So we have a treat today as well. But before we get to introducing her, just kind of want to first and foremost introduce my co-host, our director of events, Ashley. You want to say hey?
Hey everybody. I'm Ashley, as Reverend Nikki just said. I am the director of events and I'm excited for what we have in store today.
Awesome. So here's our agenda for today. We're gonna you'll meet the rest of the team as well, and then we'll do a three icebreaker as always, and then we'll introduce our facilitator and then turn it over to her to walk us through our session. Our theme for today is turning awareness into action. So here is the board. You've met me and Ashley, and then Miss Anita Maldon is our treasurer, and also go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Excited about what is coming. Looking forward to our session.
All right, and then we have Miss Victoria Wedge, our director of fundraising.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to see what we're going to learn today.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna kick it over to Ashley to talk, go through our icebreaker. Of course, we are a little competitive here, so feel free to lock in. There's, as always, there is a prize for the winner.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties over here. All right. So we are going to play a game called Think Fast, and essentially we're going to tell you to name three things that dot dot dot, and whoever puts it in the fastest will win that round. Okay, so just again type the three things in your chat, and then time permitting, we'll ask you to explain it or, whatever it is you want to say about it. So, the first thing, if you are ready, and for anybody who just joined, just go ahead and type those three things in the chat, and whoever does it the fastest wins that round. So, the first thing is name three gifts nobody wants. I knew that one was going to pop up.
I was gonna say, do we?
I was waiting. I got a good one, but I can't play. Three gifts nobody wants. I don't know if that one counts as a gift.
All right, 2 more seconds.
All right. So socks is a good one. Fruitcake is probably number
Oh,
one on the list. Did anybody want to come off mute and tell us anything else they could think of? The ones I thought of were those perfume kits or lotion kits that come from like whatever store.
oh,
Ah, underwear, I don't know. I might need some of those.
oh, that's
Right.
so. Who
Okay,
was
let's
the
go ahead
first
and
to
move on.
pick at that one?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who was the first, Ashley?
Oh, the first was Lekeisha.
Ah, okay.
Although Lekeisha, I don't know, I might have to challenge you on that more bills thing. All right. So number two, guys, type in three things or three reasons people are late.
Mm.
We need one more before we can declare a winner. All right, so it's Lakeisha again. All right, so we have some really fun ones. Mine is just my bed is too comfortable. I'm always late. And we got traffic, kids,
Yeah.
oversleeping, yes. Figuring out what to wear is also
Oh,
one that I
yeah.
have an issue with. Yes. All right, let's move on to the third one. Okay, so name three underrated things. So three things that you think is great, but not too many people talk about.
I think when you get a certain age, I got one in mind. Always.
Oh yeah. Depending on who you're around, that is underrated. Mhm. Yep. All right. Each of our entries need two more.
This is a tough one. It's a good one. It's a tough
Uh-huh.
one.
I can give y'all like some categories, maybe like music, food.
Food
That
can
one's
be
funny.
one on its own.
Oh yeah. TV shows, movies. Yes, I love those.
Anybody got three yet?
Mm-mm.
Stopped. I'm gonna go with babysitter as well because it's
Oh,
it's hard.
yes.
I would take that one. That's a
All right. What do we have, Ash? Can you read some of them?
So we have alone time, personal
Oh, yeah.
relationship with God,
Yeah.
naps. Yes.
Naps. That's what I was going to say. Sleep when you get to a certain
Uh-huh.
age.
And nothing but cakes. I love those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is a weakness. I have one not too far from my house, so. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We have name three things women love. I believe everyone on here is a woman, so the chat should be. Hmm. Okay, Crystal, I see you came through there. So, Crystal said makeup, clothes, shoes.
Yes. Come
Yeah.
on, sister.
Okay, and then some other ones are shopping.
Yep.
Compliments, yeah. A good wig. Period. Good
Yep.
friends, definitely. That's probably number one in my category. All right. Let's go on to the next one. So, name three foods you eat cold. Oh.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Crystal said I'm going in for the win. All right. So Crystal said ice cream,
Yeah.
chicken, fruit. Chicken.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. Yeah, some fried chicken is not bad cold.
And who is eating fried chicken cold?
Hey, don't knock it till you try
I'm
it.
good. It's a country thing. Okay. I'm from DC. We like half and half. So there you go. Oh my gosh. Some other ones are salad, I guess depending.
Mm,
Um, we got yeah, that's it. The only other thing was salad.
okay.
All right. And do we have another one? Yes. Okay, last one. Name three foods kids hate.
It's an easy one.
Everybody's gonna say vegetables.
Right?
Vegetables.
Vegetables, vegetables, vegetables.
Veggies. Um, mm, what don't the kids like?
Oh, we cheating. We asking our kids what they don't like. Uh-uh.
Phoning a
Crystal, your
friend.
kids don't like sushi. My kids love
Yeah.
sushi.
That's a good one, Crystal. My kids don't like sushi.
That's funny. Oh, okay. Did somebody win already? Hold on. Yeah, that's true, Mecca. Okay, Crystal came through with it again. We got, let's see, sushi. Oh, no, maybe not. Pork. Did I miss one? Oh, nope. We don't have a winner yet. Spicy foods is a good one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes, baby.
anything else? Okay, so in the interest of time, these are some good ones. I'm gonna say I'm a
Okay.
teacher. You would not believe the range of things that kids hate. For instance, I have a bunch of kids that hate mac and cheese. Who
Oh,
would have thunk,
wow.
right?
Well, if it's the craft time kind, I could understand that they
Well,
serve
no, it's
it.
like whatever. Like they're like, oh, I
Oh,
don't
all
like
of
mac
it.
and cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
But the one thing most of the kids love at my school is pupusas.
What? Fancy. Okay.
Hmm. All right.
All
So
right.
thank you for playing. Um
Ashley, you can look at the chat and then maybe we'll announce our winner later to see who.
yeah, I think we have a tie, but
Oh,
yeah, we'll figure it out throughout the process of this session.
all right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks for playing.
So our facilitator today is Miss Lekeisha Maldon. She is a Christian counselor. And first and foremost, I'm sure she would love me to say, she is a native Washingtonian. Any other DC Knights on here? Make some noise. All right. Yep. Crystal, Ashley. All right. DC in the house. So she is an author, a speaker, and a technology strategist, IT strategist, and consultant. She is in 2017, she launched her blog. Some of you on here may have seen it before. She's very active on social media. It's called The Narrow Way. A Christian blog, and her messages, I personally really enjoy those. They're really directed towards women and the things that we go through. So she has a really strong Christian women's ministry, and she also has another devotional, My Heart, a devotional for women. Um, and is has some Bible app plans on, sorry, has some plans on the Bible app as well. One of the ones that are very popular is From Worry to Worship. So she has organized several women's events, spoken for various Christian organizations, and she's led some mission trips and work. She's been to South Africa on a mission trip as well. She has a Master of Arts in Pastoral Counseling and is very passionate about helping others grow in their relationship with God. Personally, she is married to her best friend, Charles, who is her husband, and she's the proud mother of their beautiful daughter. And she is also my sister-in-law. So I'm super excited to have her. And I got two sister-in-laws on this call, so I'm super excited for that on today. But we will hear from Miss Lekeisha Maldon. We just want to kind of set the ground rules, if you will. This is an open forum. It's really informal. It's just ladies on here. You can think of it as like a sisterhood. Our mission of 3G is to uplift and empower. And so this is just an extension of who we are as an organization. And also just think of it as a big sisterhood. There's no wrong answers. There's no silly questions. Want us all to get everything you can out of it. Feel free to share your experiences because that's how we grow from one another. So with that, I'm going to turn it over without further ado to Miss Lekeisha Maldon.
Right. Thank you so much, Nikki. And hey, happy Saturday, ladies. Yes, I am DC native, but I'm now a North Carolina girl at heart. So it's like, born in the city, but country girl at heart. So like, I live in the Raleigh area now, but super excited to be here with you all on a Saturday morning. As Nikki mentioned, this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So I am honored to have the opportunity to share. So Nikki, I'm not sure who's going to share the slides. If you're able to, that would be great. And we can just go ahead and jump right in. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Turning awareness into action. First, I just want to say I love the theme of this year. I personally have had the opportunity to join each of the previous sessions, and every year the theme is also always great. And I just want to say I really love what you all are doing. Taking the time out to do this, I think, is so important. And again, I'm honored to be able to share with you all this morning. So we can go ahead and jump into the next slide. Right. So when I thought about the theme, my little one, she's 4 right now, and she is in the phase of asking why. Why? Mommy, why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Why do I have to go to bed? Why does your shirt look like that? Like literally every day we're getting a why question. So when I was thinking about this particular topic for today, I thought children naturally just ask why, right? They don't have a filter that says maybe I shouldn't wonder about that. Maybe I shouldn't ask. They just ask that question. But I think somewhere along the line, as we grow up, life hits us, most of us just stop asking why, right? We stop asking why we feel the way we feel. We stop wondering what's underneath our anxiety, our exhaustion, the heaviness that may flow with us from week to week. So as we think about this topic for this morning, I want to invite you guys to just think back to that question, right? Not necessarily why is the sky blue or why do I have to go to bed, but thinking about maybe questions that you've been afraid to ask yourself. Because what I think is very important for us to understand just from the onset, that awareness is always the first step, right? It is the door. It's not a destination. And what I'm hoping for us to walk through together today, again, is starting with that awareness and then being able to turn that awareness into action. So we can jump to the next slide. Okay, great. So one of my favorite things in scripture, ancient writing, is Psalms. So a psalm is something it's like a poem, and it was written years ago. And one of the things that strikes me every time I read one of the Psalms is how completely human it is. Every emotion that you can think of is in the book of Psalms. So when we think about asking why, when even God was speaking to me through my little one, I thought about this particular verse where the writer is asking, why, my soul, are you so dejected or either depressed? Or why do I feel so downcast? Why am I in so much turmoil? And what we see here is that even in scripture, in ancient writings from long ago, people are asking the question of, why do I feel this way? And the thing that I love about this the most, right, is that when we look at this particular question, the writer is not suppressing the question. He's not pretending that he's fine. He did not try to reach, for an easy answer to drown out how he was feeling. What he actually was doing here is bringing the question into the open, right? He's naming what it is that he is actually experiencing. And I think this is so crucial for us when we think about mental health and mental health awareness, because honest examination for our feelings, right? It's not weakness. It's often where our healing begins. So again, just going back to that theme of turning awareness into action, when we ask ourselves these questions, that awareness, as you'll see where we're going to go today, is actually where the action will start. So again, here we're seeing in this book of Psalms, and how my little one asks, why, mommy, why? The question of why is such a powerful question when it comes to our mental health, right? And the journey of healing that we want to go on. I'm going to also try to keep an eye on this slide. Okay. We can jump to the next slide, please. Perfect. So what is mental health, right? We hear mental health all the time. We live in the age of technology where you can just Google it and look it up. So I'm not going to bore you with a clinical definition, right? But I just want to make sure that before we go further, that we are talking about the same thing, because mental health, it can mean different things, right? Depending on where you're from, how you were raised, what you've been taught. So wherever you're coming from today, your background, right? It's like 9 of us on here. We all have different life experiences. You may have a different faith tradition, but your story in mental health, it touches every single one of us. So I always like to say that mental health is not just a diagnosis. It's just a part of our lived human experience, right? Mental health, it impacts how we think, how we process information. Mental health impacts how we handle stress and pressure. It impacts how we relate to people and the people around us, how we function day to day. So every one of those dimensions, right, they're present right here with us now, even on this virtual workshop. So mental health is not just like a buzz topic that we throw out or throw around, but it is literally a part of everything that we are, and it touches each aspect of our lives. And also, I just want to acknowledge for you all, like, if you're struggling in any of these areas, I just want to keep reiterating, it is not a weakness. If you are struggling with your mental health or just having challenges from moment to moment, sometimes we can isolate and feel like, man, am I the only one? I just want to encourage you that you're not. And sometimes admitting it, right, that awareness of it, it is the first step of taking courage, right? And it's also the first step in turning, again, going back to the theme, awareness into something that will actually change how we live from day to day. So we can go to the next slide. Perfect. Thank you. So I said it before, but again, awareness is not weakness, right? So if naming how we feel, right, asking that question of why, if that is where healing begins, what makes it so difficult for us to do it, right? Like thinking about my little one, she asks why, like it's the easiest thing. Why, mommy? Why, mommy? Why? But I was asking myself, and I was thinking about our time this morning. why is it that we don't ask the question why, right? And in my work as a counselor and just walking with ladies through various parts and seasons of their lives, I've noticed three particular patterns that seem to show up over and over again. So I want to call them out, and I'm guessing maybe some of you have experienced this before, or it may sound familiar to you. So the first one that I notice is suppressing, right? How many of you all can relate to that, where you suppress things? And this is where we're pretending like everything is okay. We're fine. We're keeping it together. We're showing up on the outside, but inside we are holding on by a thread, right? We perform okay because we don't want anyone else to know what we're actually feeling. The second one that I see show up sometimes is this is where we're spiritualizing everything. So we may reach for a scripture verse or a prayer as a way to skip past the pain that we're feeling instead of actually taking the time to avoid it. And I am a woman of faith. I love the Lord. So I want to make sure that I'm making it clear, I'm not against prayer at all. But I think it's very important, right, that we don't use prayer as avoidance, right? Because there is a difference between bringing something to God, but then using God's name or church or scripture to avoid the work that maybe he's trying to do, a little bit deeper in us. And then the third one that I see is spiraling, right? Again, we're all human. So I know I've personally experienced these things, and everything that we're talking about, I walk through it. I will continue to walk through it. And as Nikki said earlier, we are all in this together. But spiraling, this is so easy. This is where we can get stuck in an emotion, right? Of sadness, fear, of grief. And we name it, we recognize what it is, but we stay there and we're not moving through it. And we just sit in it until it consumes us. It overwhelms us. And what happens is we start to ruminate, right, on what is wrong without actually taking the steps and directions to move toward what is actually true. So these things, again, are what I see show up as I'm walking with ladies and what I've seen in my own life. And none of those are the answer. I think there's a different path for us to move forward when we think about, again, our mental health and turning awareness into action. And that path, again, starts with asking why, right? Not to stay stuck, not for us to drown in what we're feeling, but to, with honest reflection, honest emotion, to bring it to light so that we can start to examine it and then to actually act on it. So hope is not denial, is not saying that everything is okay or just sweeping it under the rug. And awareness of what is actually going on in our lives is not to bring us into despair, but that awareness is actually the beginning of our movement, right? Moving toward that plan of action. Next slide, please. So cognitive distortion. So this is something that is clinically true. I'm not going to bore you with all the clinical talk. I can nerd out at sometimes, but I won't do that. But what I think most of us have likely experienced, and if you have not, I'm sure you will as we just start to life happens, right? But we've never had a name for it. Not every thought that comes to our mind is accurate. And not everything that we feel is actually the full truth. So in the counseling realm, this is what we call cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions, these are patterns of thinking that we take on something real, but then we start to bend it, we exaggerate it, or we filter it in a way that will disconnect us from what is actually true. And this is why this is important when we think about turning awareness into action. Because if we are acting on a thought that's distorted, then we're not actually acting on reality. I'm going to repeat that again. Understanding cognitive distortions is very important because if we're living life based on a distorted thought, we're not acting on reality. We're actually acting on a story that we've made up in our minds. And that changes everything because now we're not walking and living life in truth. We're walking in, again, what our minds are starting to tell us. So there's several of them. I want to walk through a couple of them for you. And then, as you're listening, maybe think about how you've seen this show up in your life in the past, or maybe how it may show up in the future. So the first one is all or nothing thinking. This is where we see things in extremes, right? Either everything is fine or everything is falling apart. Either I'm succeeding or I'm failing. In all or nothing thinking, there's no middle ground, right? Does that sound familiar? Have any of you ever experienced that before? Or maybe you've seen people, right? Or have talked to people where this cognitive distortion starts to show up. Okay, I see some thumbs up. Yep. Another one is catastrophizing. And this is where we assume the worst will happen. And we treat that assumption like it's already a fact. So this is where we may say, I made a mistake. It's going to ruin everything. Or, man, that person didn't text me back. She must be angry with me or she must be upset with me. The worst case scenario starts to become the only scenario in our minds. And then the third one that I see show up is emotional reasoning. And this one is so powerful, right? Because as women, just as beings created in the image of God, He's created us with emotions and feelings. So we've experienced sadness and joy and happiness and fear. So all of these emotions, they're important. They're a part of who we are, right? As God's beautiful daughters. But what happens is I feel like a failure, so I must be one. I feel like no one cares, so no one does. So what happens with emotional reasoning is that we take how we feel and we treat it as evidence of what is real. But here's the thing, while feelings are a part of our human makeup, feelings are not always facts. Feelings are not always facts. So when we talk about awareness means that we have to be able to tell the difference. And then next, when we think about cognitive distortions, is filtering out the positive. This is where we can focus exclusively on what went wrong, and we discount everything that went right, right? So you think about a project at work or something that you're doing as a mom or a wife, right? And we get one criticism, and then that drowns out all the positive affirmations that we've received, right? We scan for the problem and we edit out the good things that have actually happened to us. And then there's some other ones like mind reading. And this is a distortion where we automatically assume that we know what other people are thinking or feeling without any concrete evidence. And then we act on it, right? So this kind of ties back into all or nothing thinking where I think this person is mad at me. So now we're operating based off of, again, reading someone else's mind without actually just communicating with them. Hey, I feel like maybe you're upset at me. Could you let me know if that's true? Right. So now we're arguing or our relationships feel weird because we are trying to read another person's mind without actually communicating with them. Another one is overgeneralization. And this is where your brain may take one single isolated event and then we turn it into a universal rule, right? We got one red light, and now we're like, oh, I always get red lights. I'm always getting stopped at a red light, right? So now we just take that one event and we're living our lives based off of that. So again, these are cognitive distortions. But here's the good news, though. I don't want to make you feel like, oh my gosh, I've seen myself show up in these before. Mental health, where do I go from here? Every single one of these patterns can be examined, right? They can be examined, not eliminated overnight, but examined, brought into the light, held up against what is actually true. And that is what turns that awareness into action, because we become aware of these distortions, our ways of thinking, the ways of that's impacting our mental health. And now we are actually able to do something with it. So if you go to the next slide. So I just want to pause for a minute. So we think about the cognitive distortions that we just talked about. Just want to give you maybe 60 seconds. And again, think honestly, this is a safe space. There's no judgment. I personally, myself, I've been impacted by all of those different ones. But in the chat, if you want to add where you've seen a distortion show up for you the most, or maybe one that you've experienced in the past. Again, all or nothing thinking, emotional reasoning, catastrophizing. And I'll keep eye on the chat. All of the learning the lessons. Okay, thank you for your honesty, right? And we all have experienced those. Throwing out the positive. Yes, that's a big one. Especially, I know I've experienced that a lot sometimes at work. You know, I could be very critical on myself, and one comment would cause me to spiral. And so thank you. Definitely emotional reason, all or nothing. Yeah, I mean, I think the beautiful thing resonated with catastrophizing. Yep, yep. These are all so important. I think it makes sense, right? Given what so many of us, the things that we carry in our lives, moving from day to day, not really having time to sit and process and think. And that emotional reasoning, that is so common. And I think it's hard to catch sometimes because, again, it feels true and our feelings are real. So we feel like this is actually what's happening, focusing only on what went wrong. Yep. I mean, again, as we can see here, we are all amongst company. We all have experienced these different cognitive distortions, but again, we don't have to stay there. That's the beauty of it. We're able to recognize it, and then we can move it into action. So thank you guys for your honesty and your transparency. We can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we've named a thought, right? We've identified the distortion, but now we want to do something with it. And this is what I'm going to call reframing. And I want to be clear about what I mean, because as with a lot of words these days that are thrown out, they can get misused. So reframing is not pretending that hard things are not hard. It is not toxic positivity where rainbows and butterflies and good vibes only, right? Reframing is also not putting on a smile over a wound and calling it healed. Reframing is also not spiritual bypassing, what I call like a verse a day to keep the devil away, right? Or just quoting a verse at a problem without really taking the time to sit, right? And process like, man, what is really going on underneath of it? But what reframing is one, identifying when that thought is distorted, examining it honestly, and then aligning it with what is actually true. So an example could be, I'm failing at everything, right? We tell ourselves, I'm failing at everything. But this is how we might reframe it. I am struggling in this season, but the struggle is not the same as failure. Do you see the difference? Right? One catastrophizes, I'm a failure with everything, but the other one tells the truth. Yes, this season is hard. This is real. That's the awareness. But the conclusion that the distortion is drawing out is not. So we want to allow truth to reframe what those distortions try to exaggerate. Okay. Again, so we're taking that thought, we're being honest with it. Why am I feeling like this? I am struggling in this season, but we're remembering it's just a season. That the struggle is not the same as failure. And this is so important for mental health because our thoughts, what we tell ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, it will take us on this trail of darkness that, man, it can be very hard to get out. So again, this is why it's so important for us to ask ourselves the question, why, right? Bring it to the light and then allow the lens through which we are filtering our thoughts to be truth. So reframing is not the final step, but it is a critical step for us because it is the move from this distorted awareness to honest awareness. See the difference? Distorted awareness versus honest awareness. From seeing through like a lens that's kind of foggy, like I have on glasses, and I'm constantly trying to clean them out, right? Because fingerprints and different things. And I can see through them, but when there are fingerprints or something on it, I'm not able to see as clearly. But when we see clearly, it's only valuable if we do something with what we see, right? So it's not just saying it and leaving it there, but doing something with what we see. And that's the action part for turning awareness into action. The next slide, please, Nikki. So before I go into the full kind of framework and pull it all together, I just want to remind you all that healing is not a one-time thing. It's not a one-size-fits-all. For some of you, you might just need rest. We talked about in the game earlier, sleep. Naps are underrated, right? Some of you might just need physical rest. Some might need one-on-one counseling. Some of you might need community, right? That's why I think workshops like this and other events that 3G puts on are so important because it pulls us together and helps us to not be isolated. Some of us might need boundaries with people who have drained us, right? And they're pulling on our mental health. Some of us might need actual medical support, right? There could be physical things going on with your body that are part of your just holistic wellness and mental health. Some of us need time and space to grieve what we've lost, right? And not just physical, like losing a person, but loss of a dream, loss of a relationship, disappointments, like taking the time to actually grieve those. Some of us need spiritual discipline. Some of us might just need practical life changes. But I just want to reinforce that there's no formula when we think about our mental health and turning awareness into action. And as a counselor, working at the intersection of faith and mental health, what I've found across every person that I've worked with, healing rarely happens alone. You cannot do this by yourself. But it also rarely happens without honesty. We are not able to actually fully heal if we're not honest about what's really going on inside of us. So wherever you are on this journey, just want you to know you don't have to be further along, but you do have to be willing to take that step. And I think, again, showing up on workshops like this, I mean, just shows your courage and your willingness to take that first step. And that's what turning awareness into action looks like. It's not this big giant leap, but it's just taking that first next honest step. Nikki, we can go to the next slide. So renewing our mind. So just like with our physical hygiene, it requires daily habits, right? Shower, moisturizer, deodorant, brush your teeth, hydration, sleep, right? our mental hygiene requires daily intention as well. It doesn't happen by accident, and it also doesn't happen in a single moment. So I'm not going to, be exhausted on this slide, but you can just see a range of practices: scripture meditation, prayer, community, counseling, journal, praise and worship. And you talk about thoughts, right? Getting true music that speaking truth into your thoughts, rest and boundaries, replacing lies with the truth, asking your friends to remind you of who you really are, right? Because sometimes we isolate and we feel like a failure, but it just takes someone saying, no, Deja, you're great. No, Crystal, you're awesome. We need sometimes people on the outside to remind us of the truth. So some of these, you'll connect with all of them. Some of them you might look out and maybe there's just one that you want to latch on to. Think the key here is to just start, right? Because awareness without practice to sustain it will fade, and action is where the roots start. So just putting things into motion. Okay, we go. Thank you, Nikki. So now I want to bring everything together that we've covered today into one little framework, because we've talked about a lot of things, right? Awareness, why, examination, distorted thoughts, reframing, different healing pathways, renewing our mind, and all of it belongs to this one progression. And this is how we turn awareness again into action. So step one is awareness. This is identifying what you feel, to actually name it, right? Not to numb. And if you have a hard time naming how you actually feel, I want to share a quick little resource with you before we drop. But the key here is not to suppress, right? Not to spiritualize past it, not to spiral in it, but to name it. Like that psalmist. Why do I feel so dejected? Why do I feel sad? Or like the woman who's finally admitting, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm angry, right? Like all of you in the chat, those of you who shared earlier, the distortions that you find yourself thinking through. That is awareness, right? That's step one. Then step two is examination, asking yourself why. So what's underneath this feeling? What thought is driving this emotion that I'm having? Where did this belief even come from? Why do I feel like a failure? Did someone tell me I was a failure? Maybe parent relationships, friends. Is it true? Is it distorted? Right? Examining it, right? Thinking, taking the time to sit and ask yourself these questions. And am I just believing a thought, or have I actually taken the time to, again, examine where it's coming from? And then step three is to reframe. So once we've taken the time to examine this thought, again, honestly, we want to align it with what is actually true. And again, here, I want to remember, this is not denial, right? This is not saying, oh, everything is okay. And it's also not false positivity, good vibes only when you're struggling, when you feel tired, when you feel overwhelmed. But it's reframing the thought to be true. Like we said earlier, this season is hard. I am struggling now, but this is only a season. This is not your life in totality. It's bringing clarity, right? It's letting truth do what distortion cannot. And then step four is surrender. This is the step that makes everything else sustainable. Release, literally release what you have been carrying in your hands. Because here's the thing, ladies, we cannot carry ourselves into healing. When we think about mental health and taking care of ourselves, we can't do it on our own. Transformation, that awareness into action, it requires letting go of the grip. And this is the hardest thing for us to do. but it's so freeing. We literally have to release it. Like sometimes I'm literally walking around the house like this, and it might seem silly, but there's something about just that physical act of letting go, releasing what you have been carrying. As a woman of faith, like when I say surrender, I don't just mean let it go, but I mean bringing it before the God of the universe who created the heavens and the earth, right? Trusting in the fact that God who created you, who made you, he is the only one who's able to hold what it is that we've been holding on. And a lot of times when it comes to our mental health and the things that we're going through, we examine it, we know what's going on, but we're still trying to fix it ourselves. And he's saying, just release, just let it go, right? So wherever you are today, right, I want you to know this. You were not designed to carry this load by yourself. You were not designed to carry it by yourself. There's a God in heaven who's able and willing to free us from this. So awareness without that action of letting go, it often becomes just this musing where we keep the thoughts in our mind and we hold on to it. But awareness examined, reframed, and then surrendered, that becomes the transformation. That's where our minds and our mental health starts to being renewed. And again, I want to reinforce renewing our minds. It does not mean that we are ignoring reality. It means that we are going to view reality through the lens of truth, through the lens of truth. So I know we're coming short on time here. I get really excited about this. Like it's my heart, but I'm going to bring it all together. So I know we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about, again, why we stop asking ourselves honest questions. We've named the patterns that can keep us stuck, like suppressing, spiritualizing, spiraling. We've then looked at these cognitive distortions, right, that distort reality, and we practice how to examine them. And then we've talked about what it actually means to reframe, right? Not to pretend, but to align with truth. And then we've talked about what it looks like to actually surrender what you have been carrying. And that's the journey there. Awareness, examination, reframing, surrender. But it all starts with being honest enough to ask the question. So I want to close with one question, not a to-do list, not homework for you guys to do later, just one question, like thinking back to that psalmist earlier on the second slide who asks, why do I feel downcast, right? That question opens the door. So what is one area of your life right now where you need honest awareness and intentional action? What is one area of your life where you need honest awareness and intentional action? Maybe it's a thought pattern that you've been believing for years and you've never really taken the time to examine it. Maybe it's a feeling that you've been numbing, trying to suppress instead of actually putting a name to it. Maybe it's something that you've just been managing, that you've just been dealing with, right? Without actually trying to heal. Whatever that is in this moment, that's your awareness, right? So maybe write it down, keep it in the back of your thoughts, because what you do with it next, that's actually going to be your action. So I've put together something for you guys and I'll share it to take with you further. It's just a free reflection guide, right? It's designed for us to, wherever you are on your journey, whatever your background, to walk through the framework step by step so that you can apply it. I'm going to put the link in the chat here and then I'll share my screen. And then as I share it, I just want to thank you guys just for being here, for your honesty in the chat earlier. And thank you for the courage, right, that it takes to show up in spaces like this for your mental and your emotional health. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. and then walk you through how to use it. Nikki, do I have the ability to share my screen?
You should.
Okay, I'm going to try really quickly. If not, I did put it in the chat.
Yeah,
So if you, let me see if I can share.
if not, I can share it.
Yeah, I can. Okay, share. Okay. Can you guys just confirm that you can see my screen?
We can see it.
Okay, great. Again, so really quickly, this is for you all. Nothing is stored here for security reasons, so you can just use this during your journaling time. But step one, right, the awareness, name it. So just giving you time to write down how you're feeling. Next to examination, asking why. So circling or checking a question that feels most relevant to you right now. You know, why do I keep returning to this pattern? Why am I carrying so much heaviness right now? Why do I feel exhausted even when nothing is wrong? Which cognitive distortion shows up for you the most? And then reframing, so aligning it with truth, right? So a thought that I've been believing that may not be the full truth. What does God say instead? And then that surrender, right? Bringing it before God. So one area where I need honest awareness and intentional action, and then that prayer of surrender. And I think this is super important. Again, we talk about awareness into action. It's one thing to just know it, but to move into actually taking the next steps. And then one other thing is the feelings wheel. I actually use this with my little one because we're working on emotional regulation right now. But sometimes you feel a certain way, but you don't really have a word for it. It's like, I feel, I'm not sure. Um, this is the feelings wheel. So, right? Stress, tired, out of control, tons of feelings here. It just helps you to put language to. I'm really big on language. And naming those emotions. Right. Again, thank you, ladies. I know I maybe went over a little bit of time. I was trying to stay on track there, but I hope that this was helpful. Again, Nikki and to the board, really grateful or honored to have the opportunity to share with you guys today.
Thank you, Keisha.
Thank you.
This was amazing. Lots of really good information. I was sharing personally, so I was sharing the screen so I couldn't participate, but I was writing all of these down. Especially on the cognitive distortion. Oh gosh. I agree with you, Deja. I go through all of these. So this was really helpful, Lakeisha. Thank you for taking time to share this with us. And thank you everybody for being so open. Again, we are a sisterhood. Thank you for sharing these resources. Hopefully, everyone's able to download these from the chat. But if you have any trouble getting access to them, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to email them to you all so you can use them. Um, Ashley, I'll kick it over to you in case you have any final thoughts before we wrap things up.
No, just very appreciative. I had questions throughout, but then you ended up answering most of those questions. So thank you. I'm happy to get into the, uh, I guess, devotional or reflection, to work on some stuff that I'm dealing with also. So thank you for that. And I'm sure everyone else probably feels the same way. Yeah.
My
Absolutely.
pleasure. My pleasure. And I'll put my email address in the chat if you're working through this, right? Because I'm very passionate about this, so it's hard to try to squeeze it in one. We can't just fix it. Any questions, do not hesitate to reach out at all. So I'll put my email address in the chat for you guys.
Thank you, Key. Before
You're
we go, I
welcome.
don't want to take for granted, because I know for some of us, we're moms, we're wives, we're friends, we're daughters, we wear so many hats. And for some of us, this is a great outlet or maybe opportunity we don't get. Is there anyone on here that has any questions or thoughts that you want to share before we let you all go?
Hi, I'll just hop on real quick. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Lakeisha, for coming and sharing with us today. This was incredible. Thank you, Reverend Nikki. Thank you, Ashley. thank you, Lady Maldon, for bringing and asking her to come in and join us and share with us today. This was incredible. I, like you, Reverend Nikki, I was writing tons of notes. Awareness is not weakness, the cognitive distortions. And as a woman of faith, I really appreciate you pulling out and interrogating and asking us to interrogate our thinking about spiritual bypassing. I think that it's well intentioned in the church to try to get us to try to spiritualize it, but in some spaces it's not helpful. And I appreciate you tackling it and being real about it. And I really appreciate everything you said. And I can't wait for this to go on YouTube because I intend to share this with a lot of people that I know because this was very helpful. And thank you all again.
I'm so honored. Thank you, Victoria. It's my pleasure, honestly.
I just want to say thank you so much, Keisha. It was outstanding, such great information. I take a lot of notes anyway, but I was writing a lot of stuff, and it's things that we can apply to our lives if we will. Thank you for highlighting them and letting us know that we don't have to stay where we are. There are ways that we can get out, and I'm going to put it in practice, even at my own age, right? But it's really good. Thank you so much. We are so appreciative, and I hope it's like so many things that are available to people, and you say like there's hunger, and yet there are people there are food banks all over the place. But this is such good information, and yet there's so many people that are suffering from mental illness and different issues, and yet some reason we can't tap. But my prayer is that we would get this information to the people who really need it and who can benefit from us, not only us, but others as well. Thank you again.
Thank you,
All of you.
Mom.
Reverend Nick, Ashley, Victor, everybody. It's so great. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Well, just to echo what Lekeisha said again, all of us are experiencing these things as we walk through life. Just remember, as we leave today, we are not in this alone. You are not the only one. The feelings that you're feeling are valid, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of some work that needs to be done, and you have everything you need within your power and your strength to do it. And if you ever need assistance or just need a sister, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. We love you, ladies, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
All right. Take care,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you
Love you.
Thank
again.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
All
you.
right.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.